Have you ever wondered what kinds of strange, fascinating, and downright unbelievable festivals people celebrate around the world? From firewalking rituals to fruit-throwing chaos, today we're diving into some of the most extraordinary traditions humanity has ever created. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you love exploring weird history, hidden cultures, and unique stories from around the globe, you're in the right place. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that like button, comment down below which festival surprised you the most, and of course, subscribe so you never miss our next adventure. And if you want even more bizarre and mind-bending traditions after this video, make sure to check out the related videos linked at the end. Trust me, you won't want to miss them. Alright, let's get into it, and prepare to be amazed. When the world starts to quiet down, something magical happens. The noise of the day slowly fades. Lights in busy cities soften. Small villages settle into a familiar calm. And all around the planet, from mountains to coastlines, from crowded markets to silent forests, people step gently into the night. It's in these quiet hours that old stories begin to breathe again. Stories wrapped in ritual. Stories shaped into festivals. Stories passed down from long before any of us were here. Imagine walking through a world that has begun to dream. Lanterns glow in windows. Candles flicker in ancient temples. Somewhere far away, a drum beats softly. Somewhere else, a bell rings. And even farther away, laughter echoes from a distant festival that has existed longer than many modern countries. Rituals have always been part of human life. Long before books, before phones, before anything digital, rituals were how people told the world who they were. They were how families passed on beliefs, how communities shared identity, how humans held on to things that mattered. Yes, some rituals may seem strange when we first hear about them, but behind every unusual tradition is a story, a belief, a hope, or sometimes just a good old-fashioned excuse to have fun together. There is something comforting in knowing that people across the world will go out of their way to keep traditions alive, even when those traditions involve dancing with spirits, throwing tomatoes, building giant human pyramids, jumping over babies, or even carrying your wife like a backpack. Humans love rituals, especially the strange ones, because they bring us together. They help us feel connected to something older, bigger, and deeper than our everyday lives. Think of rituals as humanity's oldest form of storytelling. Before anyone wrote a single word, our ancestors expressed ideas with movement, sound, food, fire, masks, and celebrations. They honored the forces they didn't fully understand: the sun, the moon, the sea, spirits, seasons, birth, death, and everything in between. And even today, most festivals still carry a piece of those early beliefs. At night, when the sky opens wide and darkness settles over everything, these traditions feel even more alive. It's as if the past steps forward, taps us lightly on the shoulder, and whispers, "Remember me." Some rituals exist to honor ancestors. People gather to feel close to those who came before them. They light candles, offer food, or sing old songs. Other rituals are tied to nature. Changing seasons bring massive celebrations. Harvests, rains, winds, and full moons all inspire unique traditions. Some festivals chase away evil spirits. Others invite good spirits in. And then there are rituals that have no deep spiritual meaning at all. They simply exist because humans enjoy being wonderfully weird. In every corner of the world, there are festivals that make you pause and say, "Wait, they do what?" But once you look closer, once you hear the reason behind them, they stop feeling strange. They begin to feel human. And that's the beauty of these traditions. Beneath all the unusual, colorful, or downright chaotic details, there is always a heartbeat of meaning. Picture yourself standing on a quiet hill at night, looking down at the world. In Japan, temple bells ring through the warm summer air. In India, crowds gather under strings of lights, voices rising in chants. In Spain, people fill narrow streets, preparing for a festival that looks wild yet carries deep roots. In Peru, devil dancers prepare their costumes under the glow of Andean stars. In Mexico, artists carve stories into giant radishes under a canopy of candlelight. And in Thailand, devotees move through incense-filled streets, guided by faith and ancient belief. The world is huge and diverse, but it is also connected through ritual. The way one culture dances to honor nature might look different from another culture's fire festival, but the intention, the heart behind the action, often feels the same. People everywhere want to celebrate life, They want to protect their families. They want to respect the spirits they believe in. They want to remember the past. They want to laugh. They want to feel together. Even the most unusual festivals, the ones that make you raise an eyebrow, usually come from a place of love, protection, humor, or hope. A ritual might look strange, but the reasons behind it are almost always familiar. As you drift deeper into this documentary, imagine walking with me through these nighttime stories. We will travel quietly from country to country. We won't rush. We'll move with calm steps, letting each tradition unfold gently in front of us. Some moments will feel warm and charming. Some will be surprising. Some may feel a little wild at first glance, but all of them will reveal something beautiful about human culture. We'll see rituals that welcome new babies into the world, others that help young people become adults. Some festivals push away bad luck, others celebrate love, harvests, seasons, or even humor, and many of them bridge the gap between the living and the dead, allowing communities to feel close to those they've lost. This journey is not just about learning strange facts. It's about looking at humanity with curiosity and kindness. It's about understanding why people hold on to traditions long after the world around them has changed. And it's about discovering that even the weirdest festival often has a soft story behind it, a story that started centuries ago with people trying to make sense of the world. So, take a slow breath, let your shoulders relax, let the day fade away. You re-stepping into a calm and curious corner of the world where traditions glow softly in the dark. As night covers the planet, rituals wake up and stretch their arms, ready to tell their tales. In this journey, we'll meet devils who jump over babies, wrestlers who try to make infants cry, dancers dressed like spirits, communities that carve radish masterpieces, and people who find joy in carrying their partners across muddy obstacle tracks. We'll see fire spinning through Scottish air, sacred piercings in India, oranges flying like comets in Italy, and decorated skulls smoking tiny cigarettes in Bolivia. Yes, the world is strange, but that strangeness is part of its wonder. Now, the dream has begun. Let's take our first quiet step into the festivals waiting ahead. As our journey continues, the night sky slowly shifts, and we find ourselves drifting over quiet Spanish countryside. Soft hills roll beneath us, covered in warm sunlight by day and gentle lantern glow by night. And tucked inside this peaceful landscape is a tiny place that holds one of the world's most unusual traditions, a ritual that makes almost everyone say the same thing the first time they hear about it. Wait, they do what with the babies? Welcome to Castelló de Murcia, a small village in northern Spain. It may not look like the kind of place where something spectacular happens. The streets are narrow and calm, the houses simple and warm, and the rhythm of life slow and familiar. But once every year, this village becomes the stage for one of the strangest and surprisingly heartwarming festivals on the planet. It's called El Calacho, and yes, it involves babies, and jumping, and people dressed like devils. But don't worry, nobody's yeeting infants across the street. Everything is safe, ceremonial, and guided by centuries of tradition. Picture this. It's a warm June afternoon. The sun is bright, the breeze gentle. Families from around the region gather in the village streets. Everyone talks quietly, smiling, greeting neighbors. Newborn babies, dressed in their cutest little clothes, are gently laid on soft mattresses lined in neatly arranged rows. It looks like the world's most adorable nap time, except, well, not exactly, because suddenly a drum beats, a whistle cuts through the air, and from around the corner, two figures appear. They are dressed in bright yellow suits, wearing scary red masks, holding whips, and running with a kind of dramatic flair that says, "Yes, I am here to cause trouble." These are the Calachos, the devils of the festival. Now, before you imagine some wild scene, let's pause. These devils aren't evil, they aren't dangerous. They read more like theatrical performers with a bit of chaotic energy, the kind of people who would prank you by hiding behind a door and jumping out, then laugh too hard at their own joke. Their job is simple: jump over the babies. Yes, literally, but the meaning behind it is much deeper. El Calacho goes back more than 400 years to the early 1600s. In those days, life was difficult. People faced sickness, misfortune, and mysterious events they didn't understand. So the community created this ritual as a symbolic act of purification and protection. They believed that when the devils leaped over the infants, they carried away any evil, illness, or misfortune that might cling to them. It wasn't about fear, it was about safety, about giving each child a clean, blessed start. In a way, this ritual is one of the earliest baby protection traditions, just a little more energetic than the others. The Kalachos warm up by cracking whips on the ground, scaring away evil spirits, which honestly might also include any pigeons standing too close. The crowd laughs, children hide playfully behind parents, and the whole village buzzes with anticipation. Then, when the moment comes, the devils sprint down the street and leap gracefully, though sometimes awkwardly, over the babies lying below. It happens quickly, like a strange but charming athletic event. Jump, land, jump again. The crowd claps, families cheer softly, and every baby just lies there, peacefully, usually asleep, possibly wondering why grown adults are springing over them like it's baby Olympics. One thing is clear, this ritual may look scary on the surface, but it's performed with deep care. Local brothers, uncles, neighbors, and friends have done it for generations. Families trust the tradition, and despite how unusual it seems, there has never been a serious accident. The village treats El Calacho as something sacred, not reckless. Once the jumping is done, the babies are gently picked up by their parents. Priests bless them. The community surrounds them with smiles and warm wishes. And the devils, they wander off into the street again, cracking their whips dramatically, probably feeling like supernatural superheroes who just finished their yearly mission. There is something strangely touching about all of this. Yes, a devil jumping over babies sounds wild, but when you see it in the context of the festival, it actually feels peaceful. The village doesn't look chaotic, it looks united. It looks like a place where everyone knows each other, where everyone shows up when a new baby comes into the world, and where traditions are held like delicate treasures. And beneath all the color and excitement lies something even deeper, a community's love for its children. Every jump, every blessing, every smile from the crowd reflects the same message. We want you to grow safe. We want you to grow strong. We want you to have good luck in life. In today's world, the festival also reminds us of a powerful truth. Every culture protects children in its own way. Some hold naming ceremonies, some pray, some light candles, some host feasts. And here, in this little village in Spain, protection comes in the form of a bright yellow devil performing the most careful hurdles in human history. As night approaches and the festival winds down, the laughter softens, the crowds drift home, the babies are carried into quiet rooms, and the village returns to its usual calm. But the ritual remains alive, a bridge between past and present, old worries and new hopes. And as we leave Castrillo de Murcia behind, floating once again above the gentle hills of Spain, the scene lingers like a warm memory. It reminds us that even the strangest traditions have hearts full of meaning. What looks bizarre from far away often becomes beautiful when we understand the story behind it. Now, the path ahead opens once more, and the next stop on our nighttime journey leads us to Japan, a place where sumo wrestlers, ancient beliefs, and crying babies meet in one unforgettable tradition. As our quiet journey continues, the night sky shifts again, carrying us gently across the world. The soft hum of evening falls away as we drift into a land of temples, tradition, and warm summer air. Lanterns glow softly in doorways, cicadas sing from hidden branches, and a peaceful stillness settles over everything. We have arrived in Japan, where an unusual ritual blends strength, laughter, and the simple sound of a baby's cry. This is the tradition known as Noki Sumo, or the Crying Baby Festival. And yes, you heard that right. A festival where the goal is to make babies cry. Not in a mean way, of course. No one is being dramatic or evil. This isn't a make the baby upset contest. It is a ritual rooted in love, protection, and a touch of old spiritual belief. And honestly, once you understand the story behind it, the whole thing becomes strangely sweet. Imagine a warm spring morning at a Shinto temple. The sun shines through the tall gates. The smell of incense drifts slowly into the air. Families gather in the courtyard, carrying tiny babies wrapped in colorful blankets. Everyone talks softly, trying to keep the atmosphere calm, even though the event they here for is anything but calm for the infants. Then you notice something unexpected. Standing near the temple are sumo wrestlers. Big, powerful, serious-looking men, usually known for throwing other giant humans around a ring. But today, they stand ready to hold babies very carefully in their massive arms. The scene almost feels like a comedy sketch. These strong, muscular wrestlers gently holding tiny, squishy babies the size of their biceps. It's one of those moments where two worlds meet, and the result is both adorable and slightly hilarious. But behind this warm and funny pairing lies a tradition that goes back more than 400 years. For centuries, Japanese people have believed that a baby's cry has the power to scare away evil spirits. The stronger the cry, the better protected the child becomes. So Noki Sumo was born a ritual to bless babies with health, long life, and spiritual protection. Here's how it works. Two sumo wrestlers step forward, each holding a baby. The babies are usually around a year old, sometimes younger. The wrestlers lift them up toward the sky, not too high, don't worry, and gently bounce them as the crowd watches. The babies look around, unsure about these huge humans now holding them up like prized treasures. A referee, dressed in a colorful robe, begins the match. Yes, it's treated like a real sumo bout, just much smaller. The wrestlers face each other, each holding a baby, and the goal is simple. Whoever's baby cries first wins. Now, babies being babies, they don't always cry on cue. Some stare blankly at the crowd, some look confused, some smile, which is adorable but unhelpful for the ritual, and some babies fall sound asleep, completely ignoring the high-stakes crying competition around them. When this happens, and it happens often, the referee steps in. He waves a fan or makes a funny face to encourage a reaction. In some temples, the referees wear frightening masks or shout gently to try and coax a cry. But it's never rough, never forceful. Everything is done with care, respect, and a sense of humor. The goal is not to scare the child in a harmful way. It's simply to bring out a strong, healthy cry, a symbol of life, spirit, and energy. And when a baby finally cries, the crowd cheers softly. Parents smile, relieved and proud. The wrestlers nod like they just completed a sacred mission. In that moment, the cry is not a sound of sadness. It's a sign of strength, a sign that the baby is alive, loud, and ready to grow safely under the blessing of tradition. There's also something surprisingly heartwarming about seeing tough sumo wrestlers turn into gentle giants. They sway, they rock the babies, they whisper soothing sounds. They may look like warriors on the outside, but during Naki Sumo, they become big protective uncles with soft hearts. The entire ritual happens in the peaceful surroundings of old temples. Wooden pillars rise high like ancient guardians. Trees arch overhead. Families kneel on the ground, watching their babies participate in something that has been passed down for generations. It feels sacred, yet light, ancient, yet playful, serious, yet surprisingly funny. And perhaps the most beautiful part is the shared belief behind it. Parents bring their children to bless them. Wrestlers volunteer to take part. Temples open their gates. Communities gather for the same purpose, to wish their babies long life, good health, and strong spirits. It's a reminder that no matter where you go in the world, parents everywhere want the same thing, for their children to grow happy, safe, and loved. Of course, there are occasional moments of pure chaos. A baby might start crying too early, before the match even begins. Another baby might refuse to cry at all, looking extremely unimpressed by the entire event. Sometimes both babies cry at the same time, creating a noisy little symphony that echoes through the temple grounds. But even then, the crowd laughs, the parents smile, and the wrestlers carry on with their calm patience. One of the most charming parts happens after the match. When the ritual is done, the wrestlers gently hand the babies back to their parents, and instantly, their tough warrior posture returns. They straighten up, tighten their belts, and walk away like nothing unusual happened, even though 5 seconds earlier they were bouncing a crying baby in their arms. As the day ends, the temple grows quiet again. Families head home with tired but blessed babies. The sumo wrestlers leave, returning to their training halls, and the temple stands peaceful once more, holding the echo of tiny cries drifting through the warm air. Noki Sumo may look strange at first glance, but like many traditions, its heart is full of meaning. It connects families to centuries of belief. It celebrates life. It honors the idea that even the smallest baby carries powerful spirit. And it reminds us that rituals don't always have to be serious or dramatic. Sometimes they can be loud, funny, and still deeply meaningful. With Japan's gentle, lively tradition behind us, we begin drifting once again through the night sky. Our path now leads toward the colorful chaos of India, where music, laughter, and teamwork come together to build something truly breathtaking, a human pyramid reaching toward the sky. In the streets of India, festivals are alive with color, sound, and movement. But one celebration in particular, Janmashtami, honoring the birth of Lord Krishna, brings together a kind of chaos that's equal parts skill, courage, and joy. And right at the heart of it is Dahi Hondi, the human pyramid festival that makes every spectator hold their breath, smile, and sometimes laugh out loud. Picture a narrow street in Mumbai or a smaller town somewhere in Maharashtra. Early in the morning, the roads are quiet. Slowly, the city begins to stir. People gather, forming a circle around a tall pole. At the top of this pole hangs a clay pot filled with curd, butter, or yogurt, traditionally Krishna's favorite treats. The goal is simple: break the pot. The challenge: reach it by forming a human pyramid. The first thing you notice is the sound: rhythmic, chanting, drums, and a crowd counting in unison. The energy builds as youths, mostly men, start stacking themselves. Shoulders on shoulders, feet on backs, arms gripping firmly. They climb higher and higher. It's a bit like watching living Lego blocks, but with far more sweat, laughter, and occasional slips. Each layer of the pyramid is crucial. The base holds everything together, a solid wall of strength. The middle layers balance carefully, while the nimble, daring few at the top reach for the prize. Sometimes a climber freezes for a moment, then leaps slightly, swinging arms like a tiny acrobat. The crowd cheers, the drums pound, and the energy of the street rises like a wave. It's not just a test of physical skill, it's a display of trust, teamwork, and courage. Everyone depends on the people below and above them. A slip could send someone tumbling into soft arms below, but the sense of unity is so strong that most pyramids succeed with minor wobbles and lots of laughter. The human pyramid isn't just a spectacle, it's a metaphor for life. We rely on each other, we lift one another, and sometimes we reach heights we never thought possible. There's humor here too, in abundance, from people slipping at the very top, to the occasional surprise fall into the crowd, to the expressions of determination that turn serious faces into comic masterpieces. Dahi Hondi mixes tension with light-hearted fun. Spectators often shout encouragement, clap, and sometimes run forward to gently catch a falling participant, turning the moment into a blend of thrill and communal playfulness. And while it looks wild, it's deeply symbolic. The clay pot represents a part of Krishna's playful childhood. According to legend, young Krishna loved stealing butter and curd from pots hung high in homes. So Dahi Hondi is a reenactment of that mischievous spirit. But beyond the story, it's about celebrating youth, energy, and the joy of life. And yes, the inevitable splattering of curd at the end is both literal and metaphorical, messy, sweet, and celebratory. The atmosphere of Dahi Hondi is electrifying. Streets become rivers of color, decorated with flags and banners. People wear bright clothes, some painted with symbols of Krishna. The smell of street food, spicy samosas, sweet jalebis mingles with the distant scent of incense from nearby temples. The drums, cymbals, and chants create a rhythm that makes the air vibrate. It's impossible to stand still. The festival moves through your body almost as much as it does through the streets. Safety has become more important in modern times. Mats or cushions are sometimes placed at the bottom of the pyramids, and organizers ensure the crowds are ready to assist in case of falls. But even with precautions, there's an edge of danger, a sense that success is earned, not just through strength but balance, focus, and trust. It's what gives the festival its pulse, the thrill of trying something humanly extraordinary, surrounded by your friends, neighbors, and community. Watching Dahi Hondi, you get a sense of rhythm that mirrors life itself. People climb, struggle, and succeed. They fall, laugh, and try again. The human pyramid becomes a living symbol of persistence. It's messy, it's beautiful, and it's communal, a perfect reflection of the human spirit. There's humility in being part of the base, courage in climbing higher, and joy in finally smashing the pot at the very top. The festival also teaches patience and cooperation. No one can do it alone. The participants practice for weeks, honing their skills and learning how to trust one another. Each layer of the pyramid represents collaboration, the stronger supporting the weaker, the more daring supported by the steady. It's a lesson in community written in human bodies, sweat, and laughter. At the moment the top climber finally reaches the pot, the crowd erupts. The clay pot crashes, curd spills, laughter and cheers echo off the walls of buildings, and everyone is momentarily covered in sticky white goodness. It's a messy, glorious, joyful celebration of life, youth and unity. People clap each other on the back, laugh at the spills, and cheer for the bravery displayed. Even those who didn't climb are part of the moment. The festival belongs to everyone. By late afternoon, the street slowly calms. Participants wipe the sweat and curd from their faces, sharing smiles and stories. The drums fade. The crowd disperses, carrying with them the memory of the day's excitement. But the feeling lingers, the energy of effort, community, and shared joy. Dahi Hondi isn't just a festival you watch. It's a celebration you feel, deep in your chest, long after the last pyramid has fallen. In many ways, Dahi Hondi is a festival of contradictions, structured chaos, playful seriousness, mess, and meaning. It's wild but organized, competitive yet collaborative, energetic but ultimately heartwarming. And it perfectly captures what makes festivals memorable. Not just what you see, but what you feel, the people you share it with, and the tiny victories and spills along the way. So, if you ever find yourself in India during Janmashtami and hear the rhythmic drum beats echoing through a street, pause and watch. Watch as groups of young men form ladders with their bodies. Watch the tiny hands reaching, the balancing axe, the laughter. And when the clay pot finally breaks, know that you're witnessing more than a game or a spectacle. You're seeing centuries of tradition, courage, and human joy all poured into one messy, beautiful moment. Dahi Hondi reminds us that life is messy, life is cooperative, and life is joyful. Sometimes we climb on the shoulders of others, sometimes we fall, and sometimes we smash a pot of curd while everyone cheers. And in that mess, we find meaning, connection, and celebration. In the small town of Bugle, Spain, every August, something extraordinary happens. The streets, normally quiet and sun-drenched, transform into a chaotic river of red. People from all over the world gather, ready for a festival that looks messy, wild, and maybe even a little absurd. La Tomatina, the world's biggest tomato fight. At first glance, it seems almost impossible to imagine adults throwing vegetables at each other with such glee. But as you step closer, you notice the rhythm, the tradition, and the sheer joy behind it. La Tomatina isn't just chaos, it's a communal celebration, a playful rebellion, and a way to let go of the ordinary for a few hours. The origin of La Tomatina goes back to 1945. Some say it started as an accidental food fight during a local parade. Others say it began with a group of young people wanting to have some mischief. Whatever the case, the town loved it, and over the years, it grew into an annual ritual. Today, thousands of people gather in Bugle, armed with over 100 metric tons of ripe tomatoes, ready to turn the streets into a river of laughter and red pulp. On the morning of the festival, the town prepares. Barricades go up to keep the crowd safe. Trucks deliver mountains of tomatoes. Participants wear old clothes. They know they'll be soaked and stained. And then, with a loud cannon shot signaling the start, the town explodes into a frenzy of playful chaos. People throw tomatoes at each other with wild abandon. Some aim carefully, others just fling handfuls blindly. Squishy tomatoes plat against walls, pavement, and faces. The sound is a mix of laughter, shouting, and squishing. At first, the sheer absurdity of adults chuckling while covered in pulp feels almost surreal. But as the fight continues, it becomes magical in its own messy way. One of the best things about La Tomatina is the sheer equality it brings. Age, size, or skill doesn't matter. Everyone is suddenly the same, red-stained, laughing, and fully alive in the moment. For a few hours, all concerns are forgotten. There's no business, no school, no deadlines. Just the simple joy of a giant, friendly tomato fight. And yes, there's humor everywhere. Imagine a tall man slipping on a squashed tomato and landing gently in the crowd, laughing despite being covered from head to toe. Imagine someone dodging expertly, only to be pelted from another direction. The sheer unpredictability turns every moment into a tiny story, and yet everyone plays along. There's no malice in the joy, shared and amplified by the absurdity of the tradition. But La Tomatina is more than just fun. It's a ritual of letting go, a way for people to break from routine, to release energy, and to feel connected to the community. Locals believe in the cleansing power of the festival, a symbolic washing away of worries and misfortune, replaced by laughter, camaraderie, and pure play. And really, when you're covered in tomato pulp and smiling at strangers, it's hard to feel anything but light-hearted. The streets themselves seem to pulse with life. Bright red tomatoes contrast with the worn stone of old buildings. Water hoses spray down streets to keep things manageable, adding a glistening sheen to the chaos. Participants' laughter bounces off walls. Children watch wide-eyed from the sidelines. Photographers capture the madness, knowing that no photo can truly explain the strange beauty of adults, fully surrendering to fun. It's also a reminder of how traditions evolve. La Tomatina began as a small act of mischief. Today, it's an international festival, attracting tourists from every continent. Yet at its heart, it hasn't changed. It's still about laughter, play, and community. The essence of fun, pure, messy, and shared, remains. And in a world that can often feel heavy, that is a small miracle. After about an hour, a second cannon signals the end. The streets are red, sticky, and soaked. Participants cheer, hug, and laugh at the ridiculousness of it all. Fire trucks or hoses spray the streets, washing away the worst of the pulp. Friends and strangers exchange high fives. The energy slowly transforms from chaotic to calm, as people peel off layers of tomato, rinse their faces, and wander off with hearts still racing from laughter. And then, when the last squashed tomato is cleared away, the town returns to its quiet self. Streets that were rivers of red now glisten in the afternoon sun. Shops reopen. People stroll, chatting about the day's fun. But the memory lingers, sweet and vibrant. La Tomatina leaves behind more than stains. It leaves joy, a sense of play, and a reminder that humans have always found ways to celebrate life in the most unexpected ways. In the end, La Tomatina is more than a tomato fight. It's a festival of joy, a ritual of release, and a shared human experience. It's proof that sometimes the strangest festivals are the ones that bring people together the most. There's something universal in the mess, laughter, chaos, and delight that transcends language and culture. And while it may seem bizarre, that's exactly why it endures. Life is unpredictable, fun is essential, and sometimes you just need to throw a tomato at a friend or a stranger and remember that happiness can be messy. So, if you ever find yourself in Bugle in late August, don't hesitate to join in. Wear clothes you don't mind ruining, roll up your sleeves, and dive into the Red River. You'll leave tired, sticky, and probably smelling faintly of tomatoes. But you'll also leave smiling, laughing, and remembering something timeless: the human need for play, community, and a little harmless chaos. La Tomatina reminds us that festivals aren't always solemn, serious, or quiet. Sometimes they're loud, messy, and ridiculous, and that's exactly what makes them beautiful. Humans need a little absurdity now and then. And in the streets of Bugle, with tomatoes flying and laughter echoing, absurdity becomes a celebration of life itself. In Oaxaca, Mexico, every December, the city slows down as night falls and the streets fill with the soft glow of lanterns. But one evening, a very unusual festival transforms the main square into a place of quiet, magic, and playful creativity: La Noche de los Rábanos, or the Night of the Radishes. Big, carved, sometimes enormous radishes. The tradition began hundreds of years ago, rooted in both indigenous and colonial customs. Originally, farmers would carve radishes to attract attention to their produce during the Christmas season. Over time, it evolved into a full-blown festival where radishes became the medium for storytelling, art, and imagination. Today, people from Oaxaca and beyond come to watch, participate, and marvel at what humans can do with a root vegetable. As night falls, the Zócalo, Oaxaca's main square, fills with calm anticipation. Candles flicker on the edges of stalls. Children dart between displays, their laughter light and fleeting. Musicians tune guitars in the distance, and the scent of roasted corn and sweet tamales drifts lazily through the streets. It's festive, yet serene, like the city itself is holding its breath in awe of what's to come. The radishes, carefully grown and harvested, are transformed into intricate sculptures. Artisans carve them into scenes from Mexican folklore, biblical stories, animals, fantastical creatures, and even political satire. A single radish can become a dancing skeleton, a soaring bird, or a miniature battle scene. Some radishes are so large and detailed, they resemble delicate sculptures more than vegetables. And though the medium is perishable, the energy and creativity feel timeless. The process is meticulous. Carvers spend hours cutting, shaping, and arranging each piece. They work quietly, often smiling or humming, fully absorbed in their task. There's a calm concentration that's almost meditative. Unlike festivals of chaos or noise, the Night of the Radishes invites visitors to slow down, to observe carefully, and to appreciate human imagination in its small, detailed forms. Humor often sneaks into the festival, too. Some radish sculptures are playful or absurder, radish-shaped like a famous politician, a tiny horse with a cowboy hat, or a scene where vegetables appear to act out a local legend. Visitors pause, smile, and sometimes laugh softly, appreciating the blend of artistry and gentle wit. The festival manages to be serious, beautiful, and playful all at once. One of the most enchanting aspects of the Night of the Radishes is the atmosphere. Unlike crowded, noisy festivals, the event moves at a calm, meandering pace. Families stroll from display to display. Children lean in to inspect tiny details. Couples wander hand in hand, pointing at intricate carvings. The square glows with lantern light and soft murmurs of admiration. It's a festival that asks you to slow down, breathe, and look closely. The symbolism behind the radishes adds another layer of meaning. They're a reminder of harvest, of human ingenuity, and of the connection between food, culture, and storytelling. In carving radishes, people honor the land, the seasons, and centuries of tradition. And in watching the radishes, we participate in the same act, appreciating the creativity and care of a community that has passed these rituals down through generations. It's also a festival that embraces impermanence. Radishes, by nature, wilt and decay quickly. Each sculpture is temporary, existing only for the night, yet its impact lingers. There's a quiet lesson here. Beauty doesn't need to last forever to matter. In fact, part of the charm comes from knowing that these creations will vanish soon, leaving only memory, stories, and photographs. Visitors often remark on the surreal quality of the event. Imagine standing under lantern light, observing a radish scene depicting mythical creatures, skeleton dancers, and tiny towns carved from root vegetables. There's a soft absurdity, a playful strangeness that makes the festival unforgettable. But within that strangeness is deep cultural meaning, a reminder that humans have always found ways to express stories, beliefs, and humor through creativity. Another quietly delightful element is the community itself. Families, artisans, and volunteers work together to create the displays, guide visitors, and celebrate their shared heritage. There's pride, respect, and warmth in every corner of the square. The festival isn't just about the radishes, it's about connection, memory, and the joy of shared creativity. By the time the night reaches its peak, the square is alive in a calm, mesmerizing way. People lean closer, pointing out tiny details. Photographers crouch carefully, trying to capture the intricate carvings. Children laugh softly as they imagine the tiny vegetable characters coming to life. And everywhere, there's a sense of shared wonder, a reminder of how humans transform simple things into expressions of culture, story, and play. Eventually, the night winds down. The lanterns dim. Visitors stroll home, carrying memories of radish skeletons, miniature villages, and fantastical creatures. The artists pack away tools and leftover vegetables, and the square, once filled with soft glow and playful creativity, returns to quiet anticipation for the next festival. But the magic lingers. Even after the radishes have wilted, the stories remain, tucked into memory like small treasures. La Noche de los Rabonos shows us that not all strange festivals are loud, chaotic, or messy. Some are quiet, intricate, and profoundly creative. They remind us that humans are storytellers by nature, capable of turning even the simplest vegetable into a canvas for imagination, culture, and humor. And sometimes, the calmest festivals leave the deepest impression. So, if you ever find yourself in Oaxaca in December, take a slow evening stroll through the main square. Watch the radishes come to life in ways you never imagined. Smile at the tiny absurdities, the gentle humor, and the breathtaking artistry. And remember, even the simplest things, a root vegetable, a flickering lantern, a careful carving can carries centuries of culture, celebration, and human wonder. The Night of the Radishes whispers an important truth. Sometimes beauty is quiet, sometimes strangeness is gentle, and sometimes the simplest traditions, observed with care and creativity, can touch the heart in ways that last long after the festival is over. In Phuket, Thailand, a festival quietly transforms the streets once a year. The air is heavy with incense and the faint scent of fruit, candles, and herbs. But beneath the calm, there is a unique intensity, a ritual where participants enter a trance, temporarily becoming vessels for spirits. This is the Phuket Vegetarian Festival, a celebration that is as spiritual as it is visually striking. The festival takes place over 9 days in September or October, and its roots go back to the Chinese Thai community, honoring the 9 emperor gods. The focus is on purification, both physical and spiritual. Participants adhere to a strict vegetarian diet to cleanse the body. Streets fill with colorful shrines, banners, and offerings. There's a serene energy in the air, even as unusual acts begin to unfold. The most dramatic and often surprising aspect of the festival is the state of Ma Song, or spirit possession. Certain devotees are believed to be temporarily taken over by the gods. In this trance, they perform extraordinary feats, walking on fire, climbing sharp objects, or piercing their cheeks, tongues, and other parts of the body. To someone unfamiliar, it can seem extreme, almost shocking. But in Phuket, it's approached with calm respect and deep belief. The streets, lined with lanterns and flower garlands, become a stage. Devotees' eyes unfocused, move through the crowds with surprising balance and precision. They carry ceremonial objects, walk barefoot over dangerous surfaces, and sometimes bear intricate patterns of hooks or skewers. At first glance, the acts might seem painful or reckless, but there is an underlying serenity. The participants themselves often appear completely calm, almost detached, guided by the belief that the spirit protects them from harm. The festival is not a spectacle in the way a performance is. It's not designed for tourists, though many come to observe. It's a deeply spiritual act, rooted in faith, tradition, and the desire for purification and protection. Communities gather, families watch, and the rhythm of drums, chanting, and incense smoke creates an atmosphere that feels both intense and meditative. Everything happens with careful ritual, and each action is imbued with meaning. Humor appears, surprisingly, even in this solemn setting. Sometimes, its subtler participant might make a small, unexpected gesture while in trance, or an onlooker whispers a light-hearted comment to ease tension. The festival reminds us that humans often mix seriousness with playfulness, even in sacred rituals. Respect and lightness coexist, balancing the intensity with the human need for community and warmth. The spiritual beliefs behind the festival are profound. People participate to purify themselves, to bring good fortune, and to protect their families from harm. The acts of piercing, walking on fire, or climbing sharp objects are symbolic. They represent endurance, courage, and devotion. By entering this trance, the devotees embody the god's power and blessings, creating a living bridge between the divine and the mortal world. And yet, the festival has a quiet charm. Observers often comment on the rhythm and order beneath the seeming chaos. Processions move slowly, carefully, with the crowd giving way to the Ma Song. Each participant has a role. The offerings, music, and movement create a sense of harmony. Even the most visually extreme acts are performed with reverence, almost like a careful dance with the unseen. One of the most captivating aspects of the festival is the juxtaposition of intensity and calm. Streets are full of color, movement, and unusual acts, yet there's a meditative quality. Watching a devotee in trance, guided by centuries of belief, is like observing a living symbol of faith. The air feels charged, yet strangely peaceful. Laughter, soft applause, and quiet murmurs from the crowd enhance the sense of connection between people, gods, and tradition. Families play a quiet but essential role. Children watch wide-eyed, absorbing lessons of courage, devotion, and communal identity. Elders guide, offering prayers, blessings, or quiet commentary. The festival teaches lessons in patience, faith, and respect. It reminds everyone present that rituals are not merely performances, they are a way to carry culture, spirituality, and community forward. There's also a universal lesson hidden in the festival as striking visuals. Humans have always found ways to make the invisible visible. Through trance, fire, piercings, and procession, the community transforms belief into action. The spiritual becomes physical, the sacred becomes tangible. and the ordinary streets of Phuket become a stage for extraordinary acts of devotion. By the end of the day or the festival's 9-day span, the streets slowly return to their normal rhythm. Devotees leave the trance, shedding ceremonial items, returning to daily life. Families gather for quiet meals. The scent of incense lingers. The air feels lighter, as though the spirits themselves have departed, leaving behind a calm energy. The community has been purified, celebrated, and connected through acts that are both awe-inspiring and deeply human. The Phuket Vegetarian Festival is a reminder that strangeness in rituals is often a form of storytelling. Extreme acts, unusual visuals, and intense devotion might seem bewildering to outsiders, but to the participants, they carry meaning, tradition, and protection. The festival shows that humans have always sought to interact with forces greater than themselves, through dance, piercing, fire, or trance, and in those interactions there is trust, community, and, sometimes, a gentle humor that keeps the festival grounded. If you ever find yourself in Phuket during the festival, approach with curiosity, respect, and an open heart. Observe quietly, notice the rhythm, the devotion, and the care. The intensity is balanced by calm, the dramatic by subtlety, and the extreme by tradition. You might leave with a sense of awe, a little bewilderment, and a quiet smile at how humans, so inventive, courageous, and sometimes playful, celebrate the sacred in ways that are both strange and beautiful. The festival also teaches us something gentle but profound. Even the most unusual rituals reflect universal human desires: protection, purification, connection, and celebration. Strangeness fades when you understand the meaning behind it. And in that understanding, even the most intense rituals can feel calm, purposeful, and oddly comforting. Phuket's streets may return to normal, but the energy of the festival lingers in the people, in the community, and in the stories passed down for generations. And as you walk away, perhaps you notice that even in the most extreme rituals, humans are simply trying to honor life, belief, and the invisible threads that connect us all. In the golden light of an Ethiopian dusk, the village of the Hamar people comes alive in a way that is both calm and thrilling. The air is warm, filled with the faint smell of earth and livestock. Children play nearby, while elders watch quietly from the shade of acacia trees. But as the sun begins to sink behind the hills, the community gathers to witness one of the most fascinating and profoundly meaningful rituals in the world: the bull jumping ceremony, a rite of passage from boyhood to manhood. This ceremony is not a festival in the sense of music, laughter, or color. It is quieter, slower, more deliberate. The Hamar people have practiced it for generations, a way to teach courage, responsibility, and community belonging. At its heart, it is a vivid lesson in trust and human resilience. The ritual begins with preparation. Young men, dressed in traditional attire, paint their bodies with red ochre, cowhide, and decorative beads. Their friends and families gather to support them, forming a circle around the bulls. The animals are lined up, their horns sharp, their bodies massive and powerful. There is an understanding in the air, respect for the animals, respect for tradition, and respect for life itself. Then, one by one, the young men step forward. The challenge is deceptively simple: leap across a line of bulls, one after another, in a single bound. But simplicity is misleading. The bulls are strong, their movements unpredictable. Timing, balance, and courage are everything. One misstep could mean a fall, a stumble, or a bruise. And yet, every participant knows that this is a moment they must face, a threshold they must cross to become recognized as men in the eyes of their community. The first jump is often tense. Friends drum gently on the earth or shout encouragement. Families clap softly. The young man approaches the bulls, measures the distance, and leaps. For a heartbeat, it is a suspended moment, perfect, balanced, and thrilling. And then he lands, completing the jump with grace. The crowd sighs collectively, a mix of relief, admiration, and pride. Sometimes a young man falls. In those moments, the community's support is immediate, as friends help him rise and cheer him on for another attempt. There's a quiet humor woven into the day. Perhaps a young man pauses mid-lep, realizing he misjudged the bulls, or a friend shouts a teasing encouragement that makes the jumper grin mid-air. These moments of lightness are never disrespectful. They remind everyone that courage and joy are intertwined. Even in a ritual so intense, the Hamar find ways to celebrate humanity, friendship, and the playful resilience of youth. The ceremony is more than just a physical test. Each jump carries deep symbolism. The bulls represent obstacles, the unknown, and the responsibilities of adulthood. To leap over them is to demonstrate readiness, courage, and strength. To fall and try again is to show perseverance. And to succeed earns the young man not just recognition, but also the acceptance of his community. In a single bound, he moves from boyhood into the realm of adult responsibility. Spectators, family, friends, and elders watch with calm intensity. They whisper advice, offer support, and cheer at each successful leap. There's no rush, no chaos, just a steady rhythm, preparation, approach, leap, and quiet celebration. The atmosphere is reflective, yet electric. Even without loud music or fanfare, the energy of the community pulses through the earth, through the air, and into every jumper. Children watch with wide eyes, imagining their own leaps someday. Young women cheer, offer blessings, or wave small decorative items. Elders nod, sharing silent approval. And in this, the festival teaches another lesson. Rituals are a way of passing knowledge, courage, and tradition from one generation to the next. The bull jumping ceremony is not just about the individual, it is about the village, the family, and the continuity of culture. After the final jump, the young men are celebrated. Families gather them in their arms, draping them in ceremonial adornments. Stories are shared, laughter spreads across the circle, and a quiet sense of completion fills the air. The bulls, too, are honored and cared for, reflecting the balance of respect that permeates the ritual. The ceremony ends not with loud music or fireworks, but with calm satisfaction, deep pride, and communal warmth. What makes this rite particularly striking is the combination of intensity and tranquility. The physical act leaping over powerful bulls, thrilling and daring, yet the surrounding environment, the support of the community, the deliberate pacing, the soft laughter and murmurs keeps it grounded, reflective, and almost meditative. Courage and calm coexist, creating a rhythm that feels both timeless and profoundly human. There's a universal lesson in the bull jumping ritual. It shows us that rites of passage, no matter how intense or strange they may seem, are fundamentally about connection to self, to community, and to the natural world. It reminds us that growth requires courage, support, and sometimes a leap of faith. And it also reminds us that even in the most daring moments, humans find ways to weave humor, reflection, and love into tradition. By the end of the day, as the sun dips below the horizon and the village settles into the soft glow of dusk, a calm sense of pride remains. The young men have proven themselves, the community has reaffirmed its bonds, and life continues, steady and enduring. There's a gentle satisfaction in witnessing the ritual, knowing that human courage, playfulness, and resilience have been celebrated in a single, unforgettable ceremony. Ethiopia's bull jumping rite teaches something quiet but profound. Strangeness in tradition often carries deep meaning. A leap over a line of bulls may seem extreme to an outsider, but within the ritual lies courage, community, and continuity. It's a reminder that the world is full of fascinating customs, each rooted in the universal human need to grow, belong, and honor life itself. So, if you ever find yourself in a Homar village at dusk, watching young men prepare, leap, and celebrate, take a slow breath and witness the rhythm. Notice the courage, the humor, the support, and the quiet intensity. You'll see that even the most unusual rituals are threads in the fabric of human life, connecting generations, teaching values, and celebrating the extraordinary in the everyday. In the forests and fields of Finland, every summer, a peculiar sound drifts through the air, laughter, cheering, and the occasional grunt of effort. It comes from an event that looks, at first glance, absolutely whimsically yet deeply rooted in history: the wife-carrying championship. Yes, you heard that right. Adults, usually men, carry women through an obstacle course, racing to win the ultimate prize, the weight of their wife in beer. The idea might make you chuckle, but beneath the humor lies tradition, athleticism, and, surprisingly, a lot of fun. The origins of wife-carrying are both practical and legendary. Some say it began as a nod to ancient raiding traditions, when men had to carry their brides over rough terrain to avoid rivals or enemies. Others claim it was simply a playful challenge invented in rural villages. Today, the race has evolved into a national sport, celebrated with joy, absurdity, and a touch of competitive spirit. Imagine a quiet Finnish morning. The forest is lush and green, the dew sparkling on leaves. Soon, the calm is broken by a group of participants warming up, partners laughing, stretching, and joking about who's going to stumble first. Women climb onto men's backs, or are carried Estonian style, hanging upside down with legs around the man's shoulders. There's no rush yet, just the anticipation and energy of a community coming together. The course itself is both playful and challenging. Participants must run over logs, through shallow water, and across uneven ground. Sometimes there's sand, sometimes mud, sometimes both. It's a test of balance, strength, and teamwork, and of course, speed matters. The couple that crosses the finish line first wins, but the real reward isn't just the Birit's laughter, camaraderie, and the shared experience of doing something delightfully absurd. Watching the race is mesmerizing. There's a rhythm to the chaos. Steps, slips, cheers, encouragement, and occasional stumbles. A man hoists his partner over a log. She gasps, he grunts, and the crowd erupts in laughter. Another couple wobbles through a mud puddle, slipping, sliding, and somehow staying upright. Every movement is careful, playful, and a little unpredictable. It's both athletic and comedic, thrilling and heartwarming. And the humor, it's everywhere. Faces twist in concentration, shouts of encouragement echo through the trees, and the inevitable mishaps, slips, tumbles, and splashes add to the charm. But no one is mocked, everyone is celebrated. The spectacle is communal, and the laughter is as important as the finish line. By the time a couple completes the course, the crowd is often laughing as much as they are cheering. And if they win, well, they're rewarded with a prize that is both practical and symbolic, a keg of beer, representing triumph, joy, and a nod to Finnish tradition. There's a quiet magic to the championship as well. Beyond the laughter and absurdity, it's a display of trust and cooperation. The man carries the woman, and the woman relies on him entirely. Timing, balance, and communication are crucial. Partners joke and shout, adjust their grip, and help each other through tricky spots. The race becomes a dance of coordination, a testament to teamwork and partnership in its most literally and hilarious form. Spectators often remark on the atmosphere. It's competitive, yes, but also festive and inclusive. Children cheer from the sidelines, couples laugh as they practice beforehand, and the forest is filled with a sense of shared joy. The championship manages to blend athletic challenge with playful absurdity in a way that feels uniquely Finnish, serious enough to matter, light enough to laugh at, and joyful enough to leave everyone smiling. There's also something quietly symbolic about the race. Carrying a partner over obstacles mirrors the larger lessons of life, supporting each other through challenges, balancing effort with care, and finding joy in shared experiences. The forest course, muddy logs, and shallow streams become metaphors for the hurdles we all face, and the importance of doing it together. By the time the last couple crosses the finish line, the forest returns to calm. The cheers subside, laughter lingers, and participants shake off mud, water, and adrenaline. Stories of slips, near falls, and heroic lifts are shared and retold. The community gathers around, sharing congratulations, teasing remarks, and the warmth of friendship. Even after the kegs are opened and the celebration winds down, the memory of the race, the camaraderie, the teamwork, the wife-carrying championship reminds us that festivals and traditions have to be serious to be meaningful. Humor, absurdity, and playfulness can coexist with skill, challenge, and community pride. It's a festival that celebrates humanity in its full spectrum: the daring, the funny, the cooperative, and the joyful. And perhaps most importantly, it teaches something universal, that life is better when shared. And sometimes, carrying a loved one literally through challenges can be the most fun you'll ever have. Whether it's hopping over logs, sliding through mud, or cheering as friends tumble hilariously, the championship is a gentle reminder that joy, laughter, and partnership are worth celebrating every day. So, if you ever find yourself in Finland in the heat of summer, wander into a forest, and hear laughter echoing over the trees, stop and watch. You might see a man balancing a partner upside down, negotiating a tricky log, or slipping through a puddle. You'll see skill, strength, and coordination, but also pure, infectious laughter. And you'll leave thinking, sometimes the strangest traditions are the ones that teach us the most about joy, trust, and shared human experience. The wife-carrying championship may look absurd at first glance, but beneath the humor, it carries centuries of tradition, teamwork, and playful celebration. It reminds us that life is messy, joyous, and better when we carry each other, sometimes literally, sometimes figuratively, through every challenge. High in the Andes, the air is thin and crisp, carrying the distant sound of flutes, drums, and the quiet hum of the mountains themselves. In small towns nestled among the hills, a festival unfolds that is both playful and mystical. The Sacra dances, where dancers dressed as devils, spirits, and mystical creatures perform rituals that blend Christian and indigenous beliefs. The word sacra comes from the Quechua language and refers to mischievous spirits or devils. But these devils are not entirely evil. They are part of a complex dance between good and evil, human and spirit, tradition and celebration. In a quiet square or under the shadow of a church, dancers gather, their costumes elaborate, their movements deliberate, and their energy both calm and electric. Imagine the scene: dancers with towering headdresses, brightly colored masks, and bells strapped to their legs move with precision. The bells jingle softly with each step, creating a hypnotic rhythm that echoes through the streets. Some masks are fierce, with sharp teeth and wide eyes. Others are playful, their expressions exaggerated to make spectators smile. The combination of intensity and humor gives the festival a unique energy, strange, captivating, and deeply meaningful all at once. The dancers tell stories. Each step, jump, and spin has a purpose. Some depict battles between devils and saints. Others illustrate moral lessons, and some simply celebrate the vitality of the community. Music guides the dancers, with drums, flutes, and occasional shouts from the crowd. The rhythm is both steady and mesmerizing, drawing spectators into a trance-like state of observation. Even if you've never seen a sacra dance before, you can feel the story moving through the air. Humor and playfulness are woven throughout. A dancer might exaggerate a gesture, stumble lightly, or make a mischievous face behind their mask. Children giggle, adults smile, and everyone becomes part of the unfolding performance. The devil's antics are not meant to frighten, but to entertain, instruct, and remind the community of the balance between mischief and morality. Even in the midst of ceremonial seriousness, humans find ways to laugh. The symbolism of the festival is profound. The devils represent challenges, temptation, and the chaotic forces of life, while the saints and ritual leaders embody protection, wisdom, and balance. The dances are a visual meditation on the coexistence of good and evil, joy and fear, chaos and order. They remind the community and the observer that life is full of contrasts, and harmony comes not from avoiding the shadows, but from dancing alongside them. Spectators often remark on the surreal quality of the festival. The combination of mountains, masks, music, and movement creates a dreamlike atmosphere. It feels both ancient and alive, a ritual that has passed through generations but still pulses with fresh energy. Families gather, children watch with wide eyes, and elders nod in quiet approval. Everyone participates in a subtle way, whether by clapping, chanting, or simply observing, creating a shared sense of presence and connection. There's also an educational aspect. Through the dances, stories are passed down, stories of the land, of ancestors, of moral lessons, and of the delicate balance between human desire and spiritual guidance. The sacra dances are not merely entertainment. They are a form of living storytelling, a way to preserve culture, beliefs, and values in a vibrant, engaging way. And the humor scattered throughout makes the lessons approachable, even delightful. The festival also teaches patience and rhythm. Watching a sacra dance unfold is like listening to a long, intricate melody. There are moments of intensity, moments of pause, and moments of playful surprise. Each dancer must be aware of their place, timing, and interaction with others. The audience, in turn, learns to watch closely, to appreciate nuance, and to feel the story rather than simply see it. The experience is calm, contemplative, yet alive with energy. By the end of the day, the dance is slow, the music softens, and the devils retreat. The streets of the Andes return to their quiet rhythm, but the echoes of bells, laughter, and drumbeats linger. Children recount what they saw, families talk about the stories, and the dancers slowly remove their masks, returning to everyday life. The festival is temporary, yet the memory, the lessons, and the shared experience remain long after the last bell has faded. Sacra dances remind us that strangeness in rituals is often a form of storytelling. A devil dancing in the streets might seem odd to an outsider, but within the ritual lies a rich tapestry of culture, history, and human imagination. The dancers teach resilience, morality, and humor, showing that even in the face of challenges, whether spiritual, physical, or social, there is room for joy, play, and community connection. If you ever find yourself in a Peruvian highland town during the Sacra festival, take your time, watch the movements carefully, listen to the rhythm of the drums and the jingling of bells. Notice how dancers interact, how children respond, and how the audience becomes part of the ritual itself. You'll see that even the most unusual traditions are deeply human. They preserve history, celebrate community, and explore the mysteries of life with creativity and heart. The Sacra dances are a beautiful reminder that strangeness is not chaos, it's meaning in motion. Through masks, music, and movement, the festival bridges past and present, humor and solemnity, human and spirit. It teaches us that every culture has its own ways of celebrating life, confronting challenges, and finding joy in the dance between light and shadow. On the chilly edge of the North Sea, in the small Scottish town of Stonehaven, the last night of the year comes alive with sparks, fire, and a spectacle that has been practiced for centuries. The Fireballs ceremony. It's New Year's Eve, but instead of champagne and fireworks, the town celebrates by swinging flaming spheres of fire over their heads, marching through the streets, and watching the flames dance in the dark. At first glance, it might seem dangerous, even wild. And yes, there is risk. But the ritual is also precise, practiced, and deeply rooted in tradition. Every swing, every step, every careful movement has been honed through generations. The goal is not just to dazzle, but to burn away the old year's troubles and welcome the new one with courage, light, and a sense of communal pride. As evening falls, the town gathers. The streets, usually quiet, hum with anticipation. Families, friends, and visitors from nearby towns fill every corner, wrapped in scarves and coats, their breath visible in the crisp winter air. The fireballs themselves are crafted from metal cages filled with tightly packed rags, soaked in fuel to ensure a steady flame. Once lit, the spheres glow bright orange, casting flickering shadows on the stone buildings and cobblestone streets. The participants, local men, sometimes women, chosen by skill and experience, light the fireballs and begin to swing them rhythmically over their heads. At first, the motion seems almost hypnotic. The fire follows arcs in the air, leaving trails of sparks that twinkle like stars in the dark winter sky. There's a rhythm to it. Swing, spin, step forward, repeat. It's both mesmerizing and meditative, like watching a slow dance with danger, beauty, and history intertwined. Spectators hold their breath, not from fear, but from awe. The fire illuminates faces, reflecting in eyes filled with anticipation and delight. Children press close to parents, pointing at the fiery orb spinning above. And elders watch with quiet satisfaction, knowing that the ritual is not just performance, it's continuity, a connection to the past, and a shared promise for the future. Every swing carries meaning, protection, purification, and hope. Humor, surprisingly, finds its way into the ceremony. Perhaps someone loses their balance for a split second and laughs at themselves, or a spark lands harmlessly on a coat, drawing a soft chuckle from the crowd. The ritual blends intensity and levity, showing that even in the presence of fire, humans find ways to laugh, connect, and breathe through the awe. The fireballs themselves become playful partners, arcs of light that can delight as easily as they intimidate. The symbolism of the fireballs ceremony is simple yet profound. Fire has long represented cleansing, renewal, and protection across cultures. In Stonehaven, swinging the fireballs is an act of bravery and community trust. By marching through the streets with fire in hand, participants are not just welcoming a new year, they are collectively banishing misfortune, burning away negativity, and affirming their shared resilience. Every flicker and spark carries centuries of belief, courage, and communal energy. There's also a rhythm of tradition that underlies the spectacle. Younger participants are mentored by experienced fire swingers, learning the correct technique, timing, and safety precautions. The passing down of knowledge, care, and ritual etiquette mirrors the deeper meaning of the festival that communities endure by teaching, supporting, and celebrating together. It's a reminder that even when danger is present, trust and preparation allow humans to navigate it with skill and confidence. The visual beauty of the ceremony is unforgettable. Fire arcs against dark skies, reflecting off icy waters and wet streets. Shadows dance on the old stone walls, creating a moment that feels almost otherworldly. The sound of spinning chains, the whoosh of flames through the air, and the murmurs of the crowd combine into a calm, mesmerizing symphony. It's an experience that is thrilling without being frantic, intense without being chaotic, a perfect balance of energy and serenity. By the time the last fireball is swung and the streets have cooled, the town enters a calm reflection. The participants, still warm from exertion and adrenaline, gather with families to welcome the new year. The embers of the fireballs have faded, but their effect remains. People feel cleansed, invigorated, and connected not just to each other, but 2 generations past who swung fire in the same streets, under the same stars, and with the same hope for the year ahead. The Stonehaven fireballs remind us that strangeness in ritual often carries profound meaning. From an outsider's perspective, swinging flaming orbs through crowded streets may seem wild, reckless, or even absurd. But to the town, it is a carefully orchestrated act of courage, community, and renewal. It blends danger with skill, intensity with calm, and tradition with celebration, creating a festival that is as safe as it is thrilling, as profound as it is playful. Even the smallest details, the precise swing, the timing of the march, the flicker of sparks across stone walls hold significance. They remind participants and spectators alike that life itself is a balance, a dance between caution and daring, between reflection and action, between the old and the new. And in that dance, there is joy, connection, and a quiet pride that lingers long after the flames have died down. If you ever find yourself in Stonehaven on the last night of the year, wrap yourself warmly, find a safe vantage point, and watch the fireballs dance through the night sky. Notice the rhythm, the skill, and the communal energy. Listen to the faint crackle of burning rags and the soft murmur of anticipation. Observe the joy, the care, and the laughter woven through the ritual, and take a quiet breath of admiration for, in this strange, fiery tradition, you are witnessing humans embracing both risk and celebration, light and shadow, past and future, all in one brilliant, glowing night. The fireballs ceremony is a reminder that even the most unusual traditions are rooted in timeless human desires to purify, to protect, to celebrate, and to connect. Scotland's chilly coast may seem a strange setting for fire and chaos, but here, in Stonehaven, it becomes a stage for courage, community, and a little playful magic. It shows us that strangeness can be beautiful, thrilling, and profoundly meaningful, especially when shared with others. Deep in the dense green forests of Papua New Guinea, along winding rivers and lush valleys, a ritual quietly unfolds that has been practiced for generations. It is not loud, not boisterous, and not flashy, but it is profoundly moving. This is the crocodile scarification ceremony, a rite of passage for young men in the Sepik region, connecting them to their community, their ancestors, and the spirit of the crocodile. The ceremony begins with preparation, both physical and spiritual. Young initiates are guided by elders who have themselves undergone the ritual. They paint their bodies with clay and ochre, the colors blending with the earthy endings. There is a soft energy in the village, a mix of calm anticipation and quiet respect. Families gather, offering encouragement and prayers. The river hums nearby, birds chirp in rhythm, and the forest seems to hold its breath. The main act of the ceremony is scarification. Using sharp instruments, the initiates undergo a series of cuts along their backs, carefully designed to resemble the ridges and scales of a crocodile. The process is deliberate and slow, and every mark is meaningful. It's not done for shock value or spectacle. It is an expression of identity, courage, and connection to tradition. Each incision is a bridge between the boy's past and the man he is becoming. Pain is part of the ritual, but so is community support. Elders guide the young men, whispering advice, singing, and providing quiet encouragement. Friends and family stand close, not to judge or intervene, but to witness and honor the transformation. There's a gentle rhythm to the ceremony: preparation, incision, healing, and reflection. Every step is deliberate, a balance of tradition, patience, and care. The symbolism of the crocodile is central. In Sepik culture, the crocodile is a powerful spirit, embodying strength, wisdom, and endurance. By mimicking the crocodile's scales through scarification, the initiates connect to that power. The scars are not just marks on the skin, they are a declaration of courage, a visible sign of transformation, and a lifelong reminder of belonging to a community and lineage that stretches back centuries. Humor and lightness, surprisingly, are present even in such a solemn ritual. Perhaps a young man flinches at an unexpected sting, and the elders smile knowingly. Perhaps friends tease gently, easing tension. The ceremony balances gravity with humanity. It reminds everyone, present participants and observers alike, that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it with support, trust, and sometimes a soft laugh. Music, chanting, and rhythmic movements accompany the scarification. It is a sensory experience. The beat of drums, the hum of voices, the scent of smoke and earth. Each sound, each gesture, is a thread in the fabric of culture, reinforcing the connection between the living, the ancestors, and the spirit world. There's a calm energy here, even amidst intensity, that invites reflection, respect, and quiet admiration. The ceremony also teaches lessons beyond physical endurance. It emphasizes patience, resilience, and the importance of guidance. Young men learn to trust themselves, trust their elders, and trust the process. They witness the intergenerational flow of knowledge, understanding, and care. In a world that moves quickly, the ritual is a reminder that transformation, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, requires time, support, and mindful attention. Spectators, too, are part of the experience. Villagers watch quietly, acknowledging each stage with nods, songs, or soft exclamations. Children observe, absorbing lessons of courage, identity, and tradition. Elders offer subtle guidance, ensuring that the ritual maintains its meaning and integrity. It is a communal act, not an individual performance. Everyone shares in the growth, connection, and celebration of life's milestones. By the end of the ceremony, the young men emerge with raised, patterned scars resembling the crocodile's back. The transformation is complete. They are no longer boys in the eyes of the community. They are men, marked by courage, identity, and a connection to both the natural and spiritual worlds. Families celebrate quietly, offering food, blessings, and congratulations. The river continues to flow, the forest continues to hum, and life moves gently onward. There is a quiet lesson in the crocodile scarification ceremony. Transformation often requires discomfort, trust, and support, but it is also profoundly beautiful. What outsiders might see as strange or extreme is, in reality, a deeply human act of ceremony that links generations, honors nature, and shapes identity. Courage is not just physical endurance, it is also the willingness to embrace culture, history, and belonging. If you ever find yourself in the Sepik region of Papua New Guinea during a scarification ceremony, approach with curiosity, respect, and patience. Observe quietly, notice the rhythm of the ritual, and feel the reverence and energy that infuses every gesture. Witnessing the transformation, you'll see that even the most unusual traditions are rooted in universal human themes: courage, identity, connection, and the celebration of life's transitions. The crocodile scarification ceremony reminds us that beauty can be found in unexpected forms. Even scars, often seen as marks of pain, can become symbols of pride, belonging, and resilience. Even rituals that seem extreme are often gentle in purpose, reflecting love, community, and continuity. And perhaps most importantly, it teaches that strangeness is not alien, it is meaning in action, carefully carried through generations, and shared with those who understand its heart. In the quiet of the forest, the river flowing nearby, and the village settling into calm, one realizes something profound. Humanity has always found ways to mark life's milestones, to honor the transition from childhood to adulthood, and to connect with nature and spirit, whether through paint, music, scarification, or ceremony. The essence of the ritual remains the same. It is an act of respect, courage, and celebration. And in that, the world feels a little closer, a little warmer, and infinitely more fascinating. In the heart of northern Italy, in the small town of Ivrea, a festival unfolds each February that turns ordinary streets into rivers of color, laughter, and flying fruit. The Battle of the Oranges. At first glance, it might seem like chaos, a wild food fight, but it is a centuries-old tradition, steeped in history, meaning, and surprisingly gentle humor. The origins of the battle are a mix of legend and history. Some say it began as a rebellion against a tyrant who oppressed the townspeople. Others claim it commemorates the defiance of ordinary people, their courage, and their refusal to be subdued. Today, the festival blends history, performance, and spirited competition, and the orange has become a symbol of freedom, rebellion, and community celebration. The streets of Ivor, usually quiet and cobblestoned, are transformed. Teams gather in brightly colored costumes, representing historical factions. The oranges are gathered in crates, piled high, ready to fly. There's a sense of anticipation in the air, like the quiet before a storm, or perhaps a storm of citrus. Locals and visitors alike line the streets, preparing to dodge, throw, or simply watch with wide-eyed amusement. And then it begins. Oranges soar through the air in arcs of vibrant orange, bouncing off walls, hats, and shoulders. People duck, laugh, and cheer, some with makeshift shields, others with bare hands. The sound is mesmerizing. Laughter, shouts, and the rhythmic thuds of fruit hitting cobblestone. It's chaotic, yes, but also playful, thrilling, and oddly beautiful. The bright oranges contrast against the grey stones, the winter sky, and the smiling faces of participants. The festival is more than just a food fight. Every throw, dodge, and playful skirmish carries echoes of history. The townspeople are reenacting an act of defiance, celebrating courage, resilience, and communal identity. It's a way for the town to remember its past, to bond in the present, and to enjoy the sheer, unrestrained joy of play. And in the midst of it all, there's a calm underlying rhythm. The rounds are structured, the teams rotate, and the chaos is orchestrated into a spectacular tradition. Humor is everywhere. A missed catch sends someone sprawling into a puddle. A perfectly aimed orange splatters against a participant's hat. Spectators laugh, participants grin, and the atmosphere is playful rather than hostile. Even though it's a battle, there's no real danger, only joy, and a shared understanding that this is fun, a celebration of human creativity, energy, and community spirit. The symbolism of the oranges is particularly charming. Bright, lively, and slightly messy, they embody vitality, courage, and rebellion. The act of throwing fruit becomes an expression of joy, a metaphor for the small rebellions and victories that define daily life. Each orange that flies through the air carries laughter, history, and a touch of chaos, but always in service of connection and celebration. Spectators play a role too. Children cheer from the sidelines, adults wave flags, and families share snacks and stories. The town comes alive. Every street becomes a stage, and everyone, whether throwing oranges or dodging them, participates in a collective ritual. It's a festival that blurs the line between observer and performer, reminding everyone that traditions are best experienced together. One of the festival's most striking qualities is its balance between chaos and care. Organizers ensure that safety rules are followed. Oranges are soft, protective gear is worn, and everyone respects the boundaries of play. The result is a lively, exhilarating, but ultimately safe celebration. Even in apparent chaos, there is order, trust, and a communal rhythm that makes the festival both thrilling and calming in its own way. By the end of the day, streets are littered with orange peels, laughter echoes in alleys, and the townspeople gather to celebrate. The battle concludes not with exhaustion or rivalry, but with camaraderie, storytelling, and quiet pride in their shared history. Families enjoy a warm meal, recounting their near misses, perfect throws, and funniest moments. And the spirit of the festival lingers long after the oranges are cleaned away, a vivid reminder of courage, joy, and togetherness. The Battle of the Oranges teaches something universal, that strangeness often masks meaning. A fruit fight might seem absurd at first glance, but beneath the color, laughter, and flying pulp lies history, courage, community, and celebration. It reminds us that even the silliest traditions can carry profound significance, linking past and present, fun and reflection, chaos and calm. If you ever find yourself in Ivrea in February, take a slow breath, pick up an orange if you dare, and step into the streets. Notice the rhythm of the throws, the laughter of children, the cheers of participants, and the subtle gestures of care amid chaos. Feel the history in every splatter, the joy in every toss, and the connection that pulses through every participant. You'll see that even in a festival as messy and wild as this, humans are celebrating what matters most: courage, community, and the sheer joy of being alive together. The Battle of the Oranges reminds us that humans have always found ways to make the extraordinary out of the ordinary, to turn everyday items like a humble origin to symbols of courage, freedom, and joy. And sometimes, the best lessons are learned not in calm reflection, but in the laughter, chaos, and bright colors of shared experience. In Ivrea, every orange thrown is a story, a connection, and a tiny rebellion. All at once a reminder that life, like the festival, is meant to be lived fully, vibrantly, and with a smile. In the vibrant streets of Tamil communities across India and Malaysia, the air thickens with incense, flower petals, and the quiet hum of devotion. The festival of Thaipusam unfolds a deeply spiritual event that is both striking and profoundly meaningful. At its heart are acts of devotion so intense that to an outsider they may seem extreme. But within the calm rhythm of the festival, each piercing, each step, and each chant tells a story of faith, endurance, and connection. Thaipusam is held in honor of Lord Murugan, the Hindu god of war and victory, celebrated during the Tamil month of Thai. Devotees gather, their hearts full of reverence, their bodies prepared for acts of physical devotion. Some carry kavadi, ornate structures balanced on their shoulders, often adorned with peacock feathers, flowers, and bells. Others perform piercing rituals, tiny hooks, skewers, and elaborate frames through the skin, each movement an offering, a promise, or a prayer. The festival begins early in the morning. Streets are lined with families, children, and observers. The air smells sweet from jasmine garlands and earthy from sandalwood incense. Devotees walk with slow, deliberate steps, chanting softly or silently meditating. Each movement carries intention. There's no rush, no fanfare beyond the natural energy of collective devotion. It's an atmosphere thick with respect, anticipation, and a calm, almost meditative energy that draws everyone present into a shared rhythm. The piercing rituals are not performed for shock or spectacle. They are a physical manifestation of devotion, a way to transcend the self and connect directly to the divine. Believers enter a state of heightened focus, often reporting a sense of weightlessness or detachment from pain. Each hook, skewer, or pin is placed carefully, guided by experience and centuries of tradition. The ritual is precise, ceremonial, and deeply meaningful. Humor and human warmth appear even here. A whispered encouragement, a gentle smile, or a shared laugh between devotees helps ease tension. The festival reminds everyone that devotion does not exclude humanity, it enhances it. Observers might gasp, but the participants remain calm, focused, and connected to both their faith and the supportive community around them. The kavadi is another striking feature. Large, heavy structures are carried with careful steps over long distances, often to temples perched atop hills. Bells jingle softly with each movement, and flowers brush lightly against skin and clothing. The effort is intense, yet it is balanced by the serene concentration of the devotee. The kavadi is a symbol of offering, endurance, and transformation, representing burdens carried, vows fulfilled, and devotion made tangible. Music and rhythm accompany the processions. Drums beat softly but persistently, flutes and cymbals punctuate chants, and the voices of devotees rise and fall in unison. The sound is hypnotic, grounding the festival in a meditative cadence. Even as participants move through streets crowded with onlookers, the energy is calm, measured, and intentional, gentle contrast to the intensity of the physical acts themselves. Families and community members play essential roles. They offer water, flowers, and words of encouragement. They sing, clap, and quietly guide participants through the rituals. Children watch attentively, absorbing lessons in faith, courage, and endurance. Elders provide support, blessing the participants and ensuring that tradition is honored. The festival is a living classroom, passing knowledge and devotion from generation to generation. Symbolism permeates every act. Piercings represent devotion, purification, and the willingness to endure discomfort for spiritual growth. The kavadi symbolizes offerings and burdens carried willingly for divine favor. Walking long distances, climbing steep temple steps, or enduring pain all speak to faith, commitment, and the connection between human effort and spiritual reward. Every step, every pause, every quiet chant carries meaning, turning the streets into a tapestry of devotion in motion. By the end of the day, participants arrive at temples or designated sacred spaces. The piercing is removed, the kavadi set down, and rituals of thanks are performed. Families and friends gather, offering blessings, food, and quiet congratulations. The atmosphere shifts from intensity to gentle reflection, a moment to honor achievement, devotion, and shared spiritual experience. Taipasum teaches a universal lesson. Strangeness often hides depth. To an outsider, the piercings and physical endurance might seem extreme, but through calm observation, it becomes clear that each act is a form of storytelling, a bridge between human effort and divine connection, a celebration of courage, faith, and community. Pain and devotion coexist with joy, humor, and reflection, reminding us that even the most unusual traditions carry meaning far beyond the visible acts. For anyone witnessing Taipasum, the festival encourages a slow breath, an attentive eye, and an open heart. Notice the rhythm of steps, the jingle of bells, the soft murmur of chants. Observe the care, precision, and community support that guides each participant. Even in moments that appear extreme, there is calm, intention, and a deep, shared human experience, rooted in tradition, devotion, and resilience. The Taipasum festival is a reminder that rituals connect us not only to belief, but to each other. Pain, effort, and focus are balanced by community, humor, and calm observation. Devotion is as much about the heart as it is about the body. And strangeness, whether in piercing, carrying, or chanting, is not alien, but an expression of meaning, faith, and connection. As the day ends, the streets empty slowly, incense smoke lingers, and participants return to daily life, transformed not by spectacle, but by the calm power of faith, endurance, and shared ritual. And those who witness the festival carry with them a quiet understanding that humans everywhere have found remarkable, sometimes strange, but always beautiful ways to express devotion, courage, and love for something greater than themselves. High in the Andean mountains of Bolivia, in towns where the air is crisp and thin, a quiet, mystical festival unfolds each November, Dia de las Yatatas, or the Day of the Skulls. Unlike the raucous celebrations of Halloween or other festivals of the dead, this ritual is calm, reflective, and deeply personal. It is a day when families honor the skulls of their ancestors, inviting protection, wisdom, and good fortune into their lives. The streets are peaceful yet alive. Families gather small altars inside their homes, placing human skulls called yatatas on shelves or tables. Candles flicker softly, casting gentle shadows across walls. Skulls are decorated with flowers, hats, sunglasses, or even cigarettes, each item a playful yet respectful offering to the spirit within. The energy is tender, almost magical, a balance between reverence, care, and a touch of whimsy. The origins of Dia de las Yatatas are intertwined with pre-Columbian Andean beliefs and Catholic traditions. Brought by Spanish colonizers, indigenous people long revered ancestors' remains as protective spirits. With the arrival of Christianity, these beliefs blended, creating a festival that honors both ancestral guidance and spiritual devotion. The skulls, far from being morbid, are symbols of connection, memory, and continuity, proof that life and death exist in harmony. Families approach the ritual with care and intention. They wash the skulls, polish them, and decorate them according to personal or cultural preference. Flowers, vibrant and fragrant, are placed around the skull, creating a living, joyful contrast to the bones themselves. Candles are lit, prayers are whispered, and offerings, food, coca leaves, or small trinkets are presented. Each gesture carries meaning, respect for the departed, protection for the living, and a gentle acknowledgement of life's fragility and beauty. There is humor and lightness too, a playful human touch that keeps the festival grounded in daily life. Some skulls are given sunglasses or tiny hats, turning them into miniature companions. Children giggle when they see them dressed up, and adults often smile, remembering loved ones with warmth rather than sorrow. The festival teaches that death need not be feared, it can be honored, celebrated, and even shared with laughter and creativity. The community gathers outside as well. Streets and plazas host rituals where elders and spiritual leaders bless the skulls and offer guidance to families. Soft music, the gentle clinking of offerings, and murmurs of prayers fill the air. There's a calm rhythm to these moments, an understated beauty that invites reflection. People walk slowly, exchanging quiet words, observing decorations, and participating in a centuries-old tradition that connects generations. The symbolism of the skulls is layered. They are not merely reminders of mortality. They are protective spirits, guides, and companions. Each yatita carries a story, a memory, and the essence of a life once lived. Families believe that honoring the skull brings wisdom, health, and good fortune. The decorated skulls are a bridge between the living and the dead, a tangible representation of love, respect, and spiritual connection. Humor, reflection, and community blend seamlessly in this festival. Observers may notice a skull wearing sunglasses or a tiny scarf, yet the gesture is neither disrespectful nor frivolous. Instead, it humanizes the ritual, reminding everyone that ancestors were once part of everyday life, full of personality, quirks, and warmth. This delicate balance of reverence and playful creativity is what makes Dia de los Yatitas both unique and profoundly moving. Families often spend the day in contemplation, remembering stories, sharing meals, and passing down ancestral knowledge. Children learn early that honoring the dead is not about fear, but about connection, memory, and gratitude. Elders pass down tales of past generations, ensuring that wisdom, experience, and history remain alive in the hearts of the young. The festival becomes a living classroom, teaching values that extend far beyond its simple rituals. By evening, candles burn low, their flickering flames casting soft light across decorated altars. Families gather close, exchanging quiet smiles and gentle laughter. The skulls, adorned and celebrated, watch silently over their homes, believed to bring protection through the night. It is a moment of calm, reflection, and subtle magic, a reminder of the continuity between life and death, past and present. Dia de los Yatitas teaches a universal truth. What may seem strange or eerie at first can hold profound meaning. To an outsider, celebrating skulls might appear unusual, but when observed with care, the festival reveals layers of love, respect, humor, and community connection. It shows that humans have always found ways to honor life and death simultaneously, weaving memory, protection, and joy into rituals that endure across generations. If you ever find yourself in the Andean highlands during November, take a slow walk through the streets or visit a home hosting yat. Observe the decorations, the careful placements of candles, the laughter of children, and the quiet conversations of families. Notice the rhythm of reflection, remembrance, and playful creativity. Even in the stillness of bones, there is warmth, personality, and life, a gentle reminder that humans have long sought connection across time and space. The Day of the Skulls reminds us that rituals are not always about spectacle. Sometimes they are about quiet observation, tender gestures, and intimate connection. They teach that strangeness can carry wisdom, playfulness can coexist with reverence, and that life is richer when we honor those who came before us. In Bolivia, the Yatitas are more than skulls. They are companions, protectors, and storytellers. They invite the living to reflect, laugh, and carry the lessons of the past into each day. As the festival winds down and the night deepens, the flicker of candles, the warmth of family, and the quiet presence of decorated skulls linger in the heart. Dia de los Yatitas is a celebration of humanity itself, of memory, love, humor, protection, and the enduring power of connection. In that calm, reflective space, strangeness becomes beautiful, the unusual becomes comforting, and the past becomes a gentle guide for the present. In Denmark, turning 25 comes with a curious, playful, and slightly messy tradition. If you're still single, friends may cover you in cinnamon powder. It's called Cinnamon Birthday, and while it might sound strange or even alarming to outsiders, it's a light-hearted, humorous ritual rooted in friendship, teasing, and celebration. The tradition begins quietly, usually in a cozy home or at a small gathering of friends. Someone turns 25, unmarried, and the playful teasing begins. Cinnamon, the fragrant, warm spice, becomes the symbol of good-natured mockery, camaraderie, and affection. Friends mix it with sugar, flour, or even cocoa sometimes, creating a dusting that will mark the day as unforgettable. The person celebrating their birthday is, in a way, initiated into adulthood, singled out lovingly for a bit of gentle embarrassment. It's important to note the tone. The ritual is never mean-spirited. The sprinkling, dabbing, and dusting of cinnamon is performed with laughter, jokes, and sometimes dramatic flair. Friends might chase the birthday person around the living room, tap them lightly with cinnamon-covered hands, or even pose for photos mid-dust cloud. The humor is soft, inclusive, and celebratory. It's as much about the joy of being together as it is about marking a birthday. The symbolism of the cinnamon is playful, yet meaningful. Cinnamon is warm, fragrant, and slightly spicy qualities that can be metaphorically linked to love, energy, and life's small adventures. Covering someone in cinnamon is both a gentle tease and a subtle wish. May your life be sweet, vibrant, and full of spice. It's a ritual that combines humor with affection, turning a simple birthday into a memorable, multi-sensory celebration. Children and adults alike often find themselves amused and fascinated. Watching a friend or sibling covered in cinnamon powder, laughing uncontrollably, brings a sense of warmth and shared experience. There's joy in seeing someone surrender to playful teasing, just as there's comfort in participating as a friend. The ritual strengthens bonds, encourages laughter, and reminds everyone that life, even when highlighting minor milestones, can be fun, light, and human. The tradition is also adaptive. While 25 is the canonical age, variations exist across Denmark. Some communities have extended it to other ages, or added minor challenges or games. The cinnamon itself might be accompanied by flour, powdered sugar, or confetti. What matters most is the spirit, laughter, togetherness, and a gentle nod to societal expectations without any pressure or judgment. It's playful rebellion dressed up in spice and sugar. Humor is central to the ritual, but so is reflection. The cinnamon birthday is a reminder that adulthood, milestones, and societal timelines are flexible. By embracing a bit of absurdity, people celebrate individuality, friendship, and the joy of life's small quirks. It's a quiet acknowledgement that strangeness can be delightful, especially when shared with people who care. The ritual often concludes with a calm wind-down. After the laughter, chasing, and dusting, everyone cleans up. The birthday person might shower, laugh at the photos, and reflect on the joyful chaos. Friends gather for cake, tea, or simple conversation. The cinnamon, once a playful mark of teasing, now becomes a memory, a tangible reminder of camaraderie, humor, and shared tradition. The Danish cinnamon birthday tradition is a gentle counterpoint to more solemn or intense festivals around the world. There's no ceremonial precision, no spiritual demands, and no risk. Instead, it thrives on humor, warmth, and community connection. It shows that even small, seemingly silly rituals can carry meaning, mark milestones, and strengthen bonds. Sometimes, strangeness is just an invitation to laugh, to celebrate, and to share a moment with those who matter most. If you ever find yourself in Denmark and someone whispers, "You'll get cinnamon on your birthday," don't be alarmed. Embrace it. Take a deep breath, feel the soft powder on your skin, laugh with your friends, and participate fully. You'll experience the charm of a culture that honors life's milestones with warmth, lightness, and a dash of spice. Literally. There's also a subtle lesson in humility and joy. The cinnamon birthday reminds us that life doesn't always have to be serious to be meaningful. Being single, being 25, or being different in some way is celebrated, rather than condemned. The ritual encourages self-acceptance, laughter, and the simple human pleasure of sharing an unconventional tradition. Strangeness here is not alien, it's delightful, inclusive, and joyfully human. As the evening ends and the last traces of cinnamon are brushed away, the memory of laughter lingers. Friends depart with a sense of warmth, connection, and amusement. The birthday person, now slightly spiced and thoroughly celebrated, carries the day in memory as both playful and meaningful. The festival is short, informal, and modest, yet its impact is long-lasting. It captures the essence of friendship, humor, and the beauty of simple, human rituals. Danish cinnamon birthdays may seem small compared to fiery or piercing festivals elsewhere, but they share a common thread: celebration of life, community, and connection. In this quiet, fragrant, and playful tradition, we are reminded that rituals, no matter how strange, serve a purpose. They create memory, strengthen bonds, mark time, and bring joy. And sometimes, they simply give us a reason to laugh together. In the end, the cinnamon birthday is more than spice on skin. It is laughter shared, friendship honored, and life celebrated. The absurdity of being covered in a cloud of cinnamon is part of the charm, the lesson, and the story. It reminds us that humans have always found ways to turn everyday moments into meaningful, joyful, and sometimes deliciously strange rituals. As the world spins through days, months, and years, humans have always sought ways to mark the passage of time, honor the unseen, and celebrate the lived. From the soaring fireballs of Scotland to the gentle dusting of cinnamon in Denmark, from the carved radishes of Mexico to the steel phalluses paraded in Kawasaki, our rituals reveal a fascinating truth. Strangeness is just another word for meaning. If you've traveled with us through these chapters, you've witnessed babies being jumped over in Spain, human pyramids climbing high in India, and young men transforming into crocodiles in Papua New Guinea. You've felt the heat of tomato wars, smelled incense in a Thai street, seen skulls adorned with hats and flowers, and perhaps even imagined the gentle sting of spice powder coating a friend. Each festival, each ritual, at first glance might appear odd, sometimes wild, sometimes extreme, but beneath the surface is a quiet, persistent human heartbeat, the need to connect, to celebrate, to belong. Take community, for instance. Nearly every tradition we've explored revolves around people coming together. In Ethiopia, families gather to witness young men leap over bulls, celebrating courage and passage into adulthood. In Italy, townspeople launch oranges with laughter and unity. Even in Denmark, cinnamon powder becomes a medium of friendship and gentle teasing. These rituals remind us that humans are social creatures. We thrive not in isolation, but through shared experiences. The strangeness of the ritual is simply a vessel for togetherness. Then there is memory and ancestry. Bolivia's Day of the Skulls, Japan's Crying Sumo, and Thailand's Vegetarian Festival all honor the past, whether ancestors, spirits, or long-standing traditions. By participating, by observing, by celebrating, humans create a thread that connects the present to the past. We honor those who came before us, and in doing so, we anchor ourselves, reminding us that life is a story continuously written across generations. Oddity is merely the language of remembrance. Humor is another fascinating element woven through these traditions. Even in rituals that involve fire, piercings, or enormous human pyramids, moments of laughter and lightness appear. The Kanamara Matsuri makes people giggle without diminishing its deeper meaning. The Battle of the Oranges is chaotic, playful, and thrilling. Even the sepia dust of cinnamon in Denmark carries warmth and amusement. Humor softens intensity, invites participation, and reminds us not to take life or ourselves too seriously. Courage and transformation also emerge repeatedly. Ethiopia's bull jumping, Papua New Guinea's scarification, and India's taipasam piercings show that humans are willing to endure discomfort, fear, or challenge in pursuit of growth, connection, or spiritual fulfillment. Rituals provide structured spaces where bravery can be tested, lessons learned, and transitions honored. Strangeness often masks the profound truths of human resilience and growth. Rituals are also bridges between the physical and spiritual worlds. From Andean skulls believed to protect the living to Thailand's trans-induced self-mortification, humans have long sought ways to make invisible forces visible, tangible, and present. Fire, fruit, spikes, and even humor become mediums through which devotion, protection, and blessing flow. These are attempts to navigate uncertainty, to find order in chaos, and to invite meaning into lives that are otherwise ordinary. And then there is playfulness, a surprisingly universal thread. Festivals are often exuberant, messy, and creative. Radishes carved into fantastical shapes, wives carried over obstacle courses, and tomatoes hurled through streets, all demonstrate that humans seek joy and imagination, even in structured rituals. Play is not frivolous, is restorative, bonding, and deeply human. In the strangeness of these acts lies a reminder that joy is a necessity, not an indulgence. Across cultures, rituals also teach values and responsibility. Young participants in fire-swinging festivals learn timing and care. Sumo wrestlers gently handling infants embody tenderness within spectacle. Communities passing down scarification techniques or blessing rituals demonstrate mentorship, respect, and intergenerational trust. Oddity often serves as a framework to impart wisdom, courage, and care. Perhaps most beautifully, these rituals highlight the universality of human experience. Despite differences in geography, history, and religion, the underlying themes are surprisingly consistent: celebration, connection, courage, remembrance, joy, and meaning. What seems bizarre or extreme is often just a mirror of our own desires, fears, and hopes transformed into tangible, shared acts. Strange is simply familiar dressed in cultural clothing. If you look closely, you notice something else. The world is endlessly inventive in how it expresses what matters most. There is no single right way to honor life, mark transitions, or invite protection and luck. The rituals are playful or solemn, fiery or delicate, humorous or profound, but all speak the same language of humanity. They are variations on a theme, humans seeking significance, meaning, and connection in ways both beautiful and memorable. And so, after following these festivals and rituals across continents, we arrive at a quiet realization. Strangeness is not separation, it is intimacy. The unusual draws attention, but it also invites understanding. By stepping into rituals that initially seem bizarre, we learn empathy, humility, and appreciation for creativity and courage. We discover that every festival, no matter how odd it appears, carries lessons about life, love, community, and the timeless human spirit. In the end, these festivals, strange or whimsical as they may be, whisper the same truths. Humans gather, remember, celebrate, laugh, endure, and dream. Fireballs, oranges, radishes, skulls, piercings, and cinnamon are all vessels for timeless desires. They are stories in motion, alive with purpose and imagination. They are expressions of who we are: curious, brave, joyful, reflective, and deeply connected to one another. As night falls, lanterns dim, and streets grow quiet across the world, these rituals linger not in chaos or spectacle, but in memory, spirit, and reflection. They remind us that humanity thrives on creativity, connection, and celebration. They invite us to notice the beauty in the strange, the profound in the playful, and the familiar in the unusual. So, as you close your eyes, breathe gently, and let your mind wander across distant festivals. Imagine the laughter, the light, the courage, and the stories. Picture babies crying in sumo rings, oranges flying through Italian streets, fire arcs swinging in Scotland, and cinnamon clouds dusting smiling faces. Every ritual is a quiet celebration of life itself. And in that soft, calm space, the strangeness fades, leaving only wonder, connection, and appreciation for the endlessly inventive ways humans choose to honor, celebrate, and live together. Because when rituals speak, they tell us this simple truth: no matter where or how, humanity is endlessly creative, wonderfully strange, and beautifully connected. And that, perhaps, is the most calming, magical story of all. When night falls, the world slows down in its own magical way. Streets get quiet, windows glow with soft light, and somewhere in the distance you can almost imagine ancient drums, old songs, and warm laughter echoing across time. Night has a way of turning even the loudest places gentle. It makes space for stories, for memories, and for the things people carry from generation to generation. Imagine this: the whole planet lying under a giant blanket of stars, lanterns glowing in tiny villages, temples humming with prayer, markets calming after a long day, fires dying down to embers. And in all these places, people whisper their traditions into the night, holding rituals that have survived centuries, sometimes even thousands of years. Rituals might look strange today, but they didn't begin that way. Long before people wrote books, long before news and phones and the internet, rituals were our first kind of storytelling. They were how people said, "This matters." They were how families remembered their ancestors, how they honored nature, how they kept their fears away, and how they celebrated life with everything they had. Every culture, every place, every little corner of the world has its own way of talking to time. Some talk through dance, some through fire, some through food, usually a lot of food, some even through strange costumes, loud music, or, for reasons we will soon discover, throwing tomatoes at strangers. Humans are creative, sometimes too creative, but behind every odd tradition is something warm and human. Love, faith, hope, humor, the desire to protect children, the need to feel safe, or just a way to say, "Hey, we survived another year, let's have fun." So let's wander slowly into this world of strange festivals and rituals. Not in a fast, rushed tourist way. Let's take it easy, like we're walking through a quiet street at midnight. The kind where you hear your own footsteps and breathe a little deeper than usual. You can almost imagine a small village in the mountains lighting its first candle for the evening, or a coastal town preparing for a ceremony that only happens once a year, or maybe a busy city where, just for one night, people gather for something ancient that their great-great-great-grandparents once did. Humans love patterns. We love celebrations. We love gathering around a fire, or under a banner, or in a crowded square, and saying, "This is who we are." Sure, Sometimes the things we do for these celebrations make visitors raise an eyebrow, both eyebrows, but to the people who grew up with them, these rituals feel like home. Think of rituals as old messages passed through time. A mother showing her daughter how to tie a festival ribbon. A grandfather telling his grandson why the family lights a lantern a certain way. A community explaining why they jump, dance, cry, paint, carve, feast, or even chase each other with oranges. Each ritual is like a postcard from the past, carried by people who refuse to let the memory fade. Some traditions came from fear, like protecting children from evil spirits. Some came from nature, like asking for rain, sunlight, or a good harvest. Some came from religion. Some came from rebellion. And some came from someone doing something wild one year, and everyone else saying, "You know what? Let's do it again next year." Rituals grow, change, and sometimes become giant festivals filled with music, costumes, and enough food to feed an army. But at their heart, they stay simple. A prayer, a blessing, a story, a feeling of togetherness. You've probably seen photos of certain rituals and thought, wait, why are they doing that? Babies being jumped over, people covered in cinnamon, dancers dressed as devils, giant radishes carved like mythical creatures, human pyramids climbing toward the sky, entire towns turning into red rivers of tomatoes. Yes, these things are real, all of them. And while they may look wild, each one has roots deeper than we expect. They didn't appear for entertainment. They began as a way to talk to the world, to ask for protection, to give thanks, to laugh, to cry, to honor history, or simply to say, life is strange, but it is also wonderful. If you look closely at any ritual, even the ones that seem bizarre, you'll see the same things every time. People gathering, people remembering, people hoping. A quiet kind of beauty hides under all the noise, color, and chaos. So tonight, we step softly into these stories. We explore them the way you explore a dream, slow, gentle, curious, no rushing, no judging, just observing the way humans have shaped time with their hands and hearts. We begin in a tiny Spanish village where devils leap over newborn babies. We travel to Japanese temples where sumo wrestlers try to make babies cry yes, on purpose. We'll watch human pyramids climb skyward in India, walk through tomato-stained streets in Spain, and stand beneath candlelit radish carvings in Mexico. We'll meet spirit-possessed devotees in Thailand, young men leaping over bulls in Ethiopia, and couples running through obstacle courses in Finland with one goal: win your wife's weight in beer. We'll wander up mountains, down into forest villages, and across oceans to islands where ancient scars tell stories of strength. We'll feel the heat of fireballs spinning in Scotland's midnight air. We'll smell the oranges flying through Italy's streets, and we'll gently observe rituals of devotion, courage, humor, and creativity. But before we travel the world, we start here with night settling in, the world relaxing, and cultures preparing to speak in the language of tradition. Take a breath, let the noise of the day melt away, let the world dim into a soft glow. Tonight, we're not tourists. We're travelers moving slowly through stories shaped over centuries. Stories that survived storms, wars, migrations, and change. Stories that still breathe because people want them to.